Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now February 5th of 2024, and ever since 2023's end, we know that the last quarter was not a good one for Disney. Everything related to the Marvels, the Wish movie, and everything related to the up and down roller coaster of the Disney stock. This year is not looking good, not even 2025, which is going to be full of expensive failures, especially by the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and let's not forget about Snow White 2025 dropping in March of next year. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So, one thing about Deadpool 3 is that we know that there's been a large back and forth battle between those like Shawn Levy, the director, Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, the writers, along with Ryan Reynolds, and their pushback against Disney from preventing reshoots on the horizon for this spring for the third act of the movie to push their DEI agenda and pretty much unwelcome cameos into the third Deadpool film that Ryan wants to prevent. So one thing about Hugh Jackman is that we know that he's the main selling point about this movie. I think that we could all agree about that here, right? That Wolverine is one of the top reasons why people would even consider seeing this movie. Now, of course, Deadpool is Deadpool, and people are going to have a lot of doubts because it's all Disney at the end of the day. We know that the beginning was going very smooth, as far as principal photography goes, until the third act came through, and that's where a lot of creative differences began to erupt between the writers, the director, and of course, let's not forget about Bob Iger himself. Now, what's interesting about this is that with the Deadpool 3 drama only getting worse for both Disney and the creators behind the scenes in the ongoing battle to save the third act of the film, as Ryan Reynolds and the Deadpool team attempt to prevent reshoots from happening by this spring, one major development has much to do with Bob Iger and his issues with the third Deadpool film after calling the shots on deleting several scenes for the first act that involved Wolverine. Now, as it turns out, after Disney decided to delete Jackman's violent war scenes set in both World War II, Vietnam, and even a secret Cold War mission in Russia, initially there were conversations happening between director Shawn Levy and the writers of the film to, at the very least, allow these scenes to appear on the Blu-ray and/or digital version of the film for streaming. Now, this was something that was initially promised to Hugh Jackman shortly after they were all deleted in the process. However, one shocking turn of events is that recently Bob Iger broke that promise and decided that he is unwilling to provide those violent scenes on either the Blu-ray or the Disney Plus version of Deadpool 3 by the fall of this year, since they want to keep the scenes under the radar. This is one update that has been creating an uproar from the creators behind the film, and all of this info was handed down by Bob Iger to Kevin Feige at Marvel Studios, including, of course, Ryan Reynolds, after Iger decided to completely block Hugh Jackman and his most dedicated scenes from appearing as deleted ones for the film. In addition to this, Bob Iger also felt that Jackman's acting style was out of character and would only give the film a bad reputation if they were released to the general public. As far as the World War II scene goes, that was all filmed, as well as the Vietnam one was also partially filmed, with only a couple more days to complete. Bob Iger is the one who demanded a rapid halt to the filming of those scenes just weeks ago and handed out false promises of them appearing on disc and digital. This in turn created a serious grudge between Jackman and the Disney heads, and it's creating a sudden uncertainty of what will happen to Jackman's role in Avengers Secret Wars as Wolverine. Now, the Cold War scene was also a sequence that was promised by Iger to appear on the Blu-ray or digital in the future. This was essentially a recreation of the violent scene from X-Men Apocalypse in that base, except built for an R rating. Iger felt that this was the most extreme scene and won't even allow any behind-the-scenes footage of this sequence ever seeing the light of day. This is also creating many creative differences between director Shawn Levy and Iger, and is already creating a shakeup for Levy's involvement with his Star Wars movie right now. So guys, let me just stop here for one moment before I move on. I don't know if you guys knew this, but the director of Deadpool 3 does have a Star Wars deal to work on a Star Wars movie as a director and adapting that, and there has been a lot of talks of using his story to also introduce Rey again, apart from the Rey movie. That just goes to show you how Disney is doubling down on Rey Skywalker, quote-unquote, and yes, that's what they want to call her in the Rey movie, and as a cameo in the upcoming Shawn Levy Star Wars film. There's a lot of problems, I think, happening with Lucasfilm. They don't really listen to the fans, they never will listen to the fans, that's just how they are nowadays, and it's a vicious cycle. There's no doubt about that. So, the fact that Bob Iger gave out false promises to HUGH JACKMAN, to Shawn Levy, that he would allow those scenes to appear on the Blu-ray and or the digital version on Disney Plus, and then quickly had a change of heart and literally just backstabbed them and said, you know what, we're not going to release these scenes, it's too out of character and it's too violent. That's how Bob Iger feels. And he feels that Wolverine being too violent as out of character is nonsense. I think that Bob Iger needs to read up on the comics. You know, if you guys have read the comics, you'll know exactly how violent Wolverine can really be. The films that do exist don't do it justice. They really don't. So what's interesting about this, further, on top of all of that, the battle for Deadpool 3 has been a mixture of many wins and losses for Ryan Reynolds, with Disney caving to some demands, while other demands, of course, Disney remains stubborn and stagnant. Jackman is already refusing to take part in over 50% of his scenes for reshoots, and it's creating a ton of ramifications behind the scenes for the film, as the Disney heads figure out what to do. The scenes are also set to remain locked in a vault somewhere, and are not to be used for any future Marvel film. The uproar from the creatives and Jackman are 100% reasonable, as this was listed as his best work, and fit the R rating just perfectly. So, if you guys saw X-Men Origins, Wolverine, and X-Men Apocalypse, and the scenes where he's going through the wars, right, in Origins, and the scene where he's in that base, striking down soldiers in Apocalypse, combine those scenes in a timeline fashion. That's what they wanted to do with the first act. It was all filmed for the most part, and it was going to be something that Shawn Levy was going to be very passionate about in post-production, adding in all the special effects, the music, color correction, I mean, all the like, in post. So, that all came to a halt. Bob Iger doesn't even want to have any shred of behind-the-scenes footage, like B-roll footage, to appear on the disc and or digital version, and that goes to show you how Bob Iger truly is trying to sabotage HUGH JACKMAN's best work on purpose at this point. You know, we may not know the true intention there, but there is something there. There's some kind of ulterior motive going on with Bob Iger, there is no doubt about that. So again, like I say, from what we have heard, the trailer so far is well put together, because Ryan Reynolds, Shawn Levy have been calling the shots on which sequences will be used for the trailer. They're trying to rush this thing to get it out on the Super Bowl, so keep your eye out on February 11th. So yeah, so overall guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.